record this. We're recording this, and that's a good thing, because if you show up late, then you still get the whole thing later on, or if you have to jump out early, that's cool. Just so you know, it's being recorded, and it'll be in our webinar section of our website. My name is Jim Hunt, says so on the screen. I'm the communications manager at Sustainable Connecticut. And I'm relatively new, which is since May, which is my excuse, not only for making the occasional mistake, but also to bring kind of an outsider's sensibility to this, especially to this topic, which I think is valuable. I've been in marketing and PR work and nonprofit communications for going on 30 years, which shocks the hell out of me just to say it. So I've seen a thing or two. Could everybody, I'm going to do the whole round things. There aren't that many people here, and it'd be really nice. It would be helpful to me. I can see your names, but it'd be really helpful to me to know where you're from, or why you're here, or what you're doing for the town. Could we do that? Does anybody mind doing that? Help me out here. Let's see. So Charlie, you've been in here. Why don't you start and bounce it around?
Okay, Charlie Tracy. I'm with the town of Pomfret from Economic Development and Planning, and I also am Pomfret's representative to the State Department of Tourism. And we have recently, hopefully, finished our application for bronze level sustainable CT, and we're waiting for that child to be born.
Okay. Who's next? Oh, Stephen's. Oh, you're here. Okay. Get yourself unmuted, my friend, and tell us why
my
you're here.
earlier meeting fortunately started earlier, so here I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, my name is Stephen Gass. I recently finished up serving as the co-chair for New Milford's Sustainable CT initiative, going from bronze a few years back to silver, where we sort of somehow rallied together a group of 40 plus volunteers and brought in pretty much every organization, committee, department in the town to get behind this initiative. And I'm happy to share battle scars whenever.
Okay. Who's next? How about Rebecca? Where are you from, Rebecca?
Good morning. I'm here in Willimantic, actually, but unlike most of you, I actually left the world of politics and now am the chair of the Windham Region Interfaith Working Group, and also serve at Community Health Center out of Middletown. We recently partnered with Sustainable Connecticut to start working on a housing initiative, however, and that's why I'm here today, because we're working on more equitable housing throughout Connecticut.
Thanks, Rebecca. Stephanie, you're next on my screen.
Hello, I'm the environmental planner for the town of Bloomfield. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yep.
And Bloomfield got bronze before I came. I think that was end of 2019. I arrived early 2020. And what kind of information are we sharing?
Just what town you're with and why,
okay.
Why you're here. I don't know. Cyril. Real name is in Waterbury.
Hi, good morning, everybody. CJ May here. I work for the city of Waterbury in the Department of Public Works as the refuse recycling coordinator. So I'm mostly in the garbage end, but as Waterbury is trying to expand its broader sustainability efforts, forming a sustainability CT team, I'm involved with those as well. And I'll be involved in our push to get our ducks in a row for applying for silver status by April 2022.
Great. Diane?
I am in Litchfield. I'm a member of the Sustainable Litchfield Committee, and I worked together with Margaret Hunt on recently our silver submission, and that included an equity statement for our town, which was an amazingly a wonderful experience, I think, for our team of about 10 people, and also the leaders as well. We learned so much.
Great.
And our silver submission included a full range of projects, most of which Margaret was involved in. You know, from energy to smart recycling, and I can't even name them all. It was a really great experience.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Joseph. You got to unmute. You're on mute, Joseph.
Got it.
There
There
we
we go. Hi, good morning. My name is Joseph Dickerson. I actually was a Sustainable CT grantee, successful grantee back in 2019 or late 2019, early 2020 with an organization that I was running at the time, BCCO. And I'm just interested in finding out a little bit more about the efforts that Sustainable CT is still taking on at this point.
Okay, fantastic. Hannah?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Hannah Reichley. I am a regional planner with MetroCog, and I help oversee the Sustainable CT intern and fellow each summer. And it's such a great experience. They do integral work to all of our municipalities. So excited to be here and learn more.
They were great. They were great this batch were really good. Patrice, I got that? Yeah.
You do. I'm Patrice Carson. I'm with the town of Bolton. I'm the consulting director of community development there, and on the Sustainable CT team, I'm their staff person for that. Bolton has achieved bronze status, and we are slowly working towards silver. So just a good way to enjoy my coffee on a Friday morning. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Catherine?
Hey, I'm Catherine Deviney. I'm the energy specialist for the town of West Hartford. West Hartford got bronze certification in 2018, and we just submitted our silver one this past cycle. So we'll see on that.
Okay. My buddy Torin, you got your
sorry for being a lazy
working
today, Jim, and I'm seeing some familiar faces on this coffee hour, so I'm already smiling from ear to ear today. It's so wonderful to see all of you. Looking forward to this discussion, how we communicate.
And Margaret, you got a great last name there. I don't know. There are lots of us all over the world, I guess. How are you? And we got to unmute.
Got it. Unmute. Got it. Yeah, I'm Margaret Hunt and worked with Diane, Sustainable Litchfield. Very excited to hear our results for our silver application, and good luck to, I forget who else said they were just applied. I think these sustainable coffee hours are great. I was at the last one with Torin and learned a lot about the website. It's super helpful. And I've just been tapped to join by our first selectman, Denise Rapp, to join the NCOG, Northwest COG affordable housing. There's going to take a look at how to do that in the Northwest corner, how to do that better. Excited about that. Just lost my bid to be on the board of Ed last night because of CRT, but yeah, we'll keep on it, man. Anyhow, excited to be here, and all that does is free up more time for Sustainable CT. So
there you go. We're all going to retire and become Sustainable CT people. That's it. Thanks. Thank you much. Thank you all for being here. This is specifically about communications, which is my bailiwick. Before we open it up to general discussion, I have a little mini presentation to make. I swear it's very mini. I'll try to be quick. What I want to do with it is just try to get you to think, generate some ideas and maybe some discussion afterward. If I say things you already know, please forgive me. I don't know what you know, and I don't know what you don't. So there are certain basics about this kind of stuff that you may already be familiar with, but it doesn't hurt to go over them nonetheless. And so let me just share this. Torin, give me some share possibilities here, if you would, please, sir. No. Get our dogs and ponies. Are we good? There we go. All right. Come on, baby. There we are. All right. So Come on. So in town communications, there are lots of, it's a very complex matter, can be, has lots of nuances to it, has a lot of moving parts. I want to focus on just a couple of the distinction between two separate elements with this. One is communicating specific information or asking for specific information, which is really the heart of municipal government. That's what you do. It's what everybody has to do. Here's your tax bill. Here's where you need to go. Here's what you need to do. Asking citizens to do a certain thing at a certain time. That's very specific stuff, and that's that's really the heart of what you're doing. And every town has to do it. Some do it better than others, but that's certainly one element of communications. The other, the more squishy side of things is what I would like to try to talk about today a little bit more, is communicating success. And you're looking for support, for buy-in, for involvement from your community. And to be candid, you're looking for some appreciation. I mean, you think about it, it's like you're doing all this work, you're putting all this out there, you're making all these improvements, you're moving along, and you want the town to know that, to somehow take some knowledge of the fact that you're really doing what you need to do and making the community a better place. So let me go. So what I'm going to be saying a lot here, I'm going to be talking about marketing. And I'm not making a mistake. It's intentional. I know we're not selling widgets, but we're in the marketplace of ideas and information. And so I'm doing this purposely. There are certain elements that transcend the different kinds of communications that we're familiar with. There's marketing and public relations and political communication and nonprofit communication. They all share, certain fundamentals across the board. And we could talk about marketing because that's really what we're familiar with. We're the trading in ideas and concepts, even if it's not a widget. Now, in that vein, marketers have a dirty little secret, and it's an open secret. Everybody knows it, but we're not allowed to talk about it because it wouldn't help us very much if we did. And that secret is that marketing does not sell product, okay, or specific ideas very well. Now, you're all consumers of information. You're getting bombarded constantly by this stuff. And in so much, you're also communication experts of your own domain. You know what works for you and what doesn't. And I would ask you, put the question, when was the last time you actually bought a product or changed your mind based on, think of it in terms of information, bought a product based on a direct advertisement? And you saw the advertisement, you went out and bought that product, or you saw a piece of information, it changed your mind. Now, it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but that really isn't what marketing does well. I'd say marketing doesn't do anything well, but that's not what marketing does. So why did we spend $240 billion in America in 2019 on marketing if it doesn't sell product? Well, one reason, of course, is so many things in life, it's inertia. There's a lot riding on this, right? $240 billion. Universities, institutions, businesses, careers, professions, egos. If we say what we do doesn't work, that would be a problem, right? So it works because we say it does. There's part of that. And marketing is certainly, that happens in marketing a lot. But the one thing that marketing does well and actually performs, and why they spend so much money, is for name and goodwill. And if you think about this, think of Ford trucks, right? Now, the minute I said Ford, you had a picture in your head. I'm sure you did. A picture in your head of what their logo looks like. The old script Ford, been around forever. It touches your brain stem. You know what it is. So the next time you're looking or thinking about buying a truck, and isn't everybody, you're not going to go to an advertisement you saw 6 months ago, say, oh yeah, I want that F-150. No, hopefully, Ford hopes you will think, Ford. Certainly name recognition. They've been around forever. I seem to recall they're good for this or that or the other thing. They have an environmental program, right? And they want you to think of them. And they want you to think good things of them. They may say they're selling you an F-150 in the advertisement, but that's not what they're doing. They're selling your name and goodwill. So we're really no different. Trust me on this. We're really no different in that respect. We're no different than Ford. Imagine. We want to reach people in the brainstem. We want to get them motivated, get them involved, make sure that when they think of, our municipal governments and the work that sustainability committees are doing, that they think good things, that they want to be a part of it and have buy-in. So with that in mind, again, because these things are very basic, transcend almost any professional communication capability, there are 4 must-haves. Absolutely just 4. And I don't have any fancy acronym for this. I'm just going to just 4 of them. And this, again, transcends political messaging or PR, the Ford logo. One is consistency. You have to have visual consistency in all of your product that you're putting out when you're giving your messaging. This could be the town seal, it could be the colors associated with your town, it could be iconic structures within the town. Something visual that has to transcend all of your platforms. Thematic, what does the town stand for? What is its philosophy? Is it open for business? Is it environmental? It should be both. Is it open culturally? Carrying that thematic philosophy, again, across all of your messaging. And here's one that people forget is the programmatic end. Consistency, and this is very important. You think of Amazon, okay? I know we don't love it. Just think of Amazon without editorial comment. As much as the product line in Amazon has changed in the last 10 years, if you go to their site today to buy something, it looks pretty much and functions pretty much the way it did 10 years ago. It's consistency of function. So the people who want to use Amazon are comfortable using it. They know what's going to be there when they get there, right? That isn't a stumbling block to them getting something done. How that translates for us is, of course, in conveying information and data to the community and functionality to the community, is having that website perform consistently in a manner that they're used to seeing. Now, there is change and evolution, but we'll get to that in a second. So number 2, repeat, repeat, repeat. Repetition is our friend. If you think of anyone who's ever watched a movie on Hulu at night, and you sit there and go, why are they showing me the same commercial over and over and over again? They're doing that for a reason, not to drive you crazy. No, it does. Sometimes the reason is it's a budgetary issue, but we won't go there for now. They're also doing it purposely because they want to drive that messaging home. They want to become the thing in your brain. And most important, not to remember the specific product necessarily, but what? Name and goodwill. They're going to repeat, repeat, repeat. And what that means to us is, especially when the information you're sending out is specific, there's going to be a construction zone on Main Street tomorrow at 10 o'clock or Thursday at 10 o'clock. We won't have to give them more than one day, at a time certain. When it's specific information like that, most particularly, you need to repeat that over and over and over again on all of your platforms in a contemporaneous manner. Okay, that will get through, that'll get through the clutter, because we're busy people. We have short attention spans. We don't have the bandwidth for all of this. And frankly, we don't remember even the important stuff half the time. We got a lot going on. So the more you have the reminder, the better. Repetition is our friend. Cross-media integration. It sounds like a big deal, but it isn't, right? These 3 work together, and I've alluded to this already. The consistency, visual, thematic, programmatic, and repetition is cross-media, meaning you have legacy media, you have print, and your posters and flyers. You have, events, in-person events. On the new media side, you've got your, all the obvious ones, that Facebook and Instagram, your website, e-news. All these things need to fit together in terms of what? In terms of visual, thematic, and to some degree programmatic as well. And all the messaging is repeated across them all. And the important element of cross-media integration is not just content, but timing, scheduling, so that these things drop contemporaneously, so you're getting the impact. Because with these 3 things, consistency, repetition, and media, you're getting the emphasis, the effectiveness, and the impact of your message. And finally, the 4th one that is just necessary in all of this stuff is testing. this is a built-in contradiction to the consistency, right? You want to be consistent, but you got to constantly test new ways of making what you're doing better and better, more readable, more accessible, better distribution, more timely distribution, okay, all of those things. And you can test anything. I mean, if you have the time and inclination, and we used to do this in marketing all the time, you can test fonts, you can test colors that you're associated with, you can test content that's thematic, right? You can certainly test delivery mechanisms, and you've got to build into your test. So you have your control group, which is your consistency, and then your test group, which is a smaller thing. You're testing out, see if something works. And you got to build into that test a response analysis. If you're not looking at an analysis of response, you're wasting your time. You don't know what is working for you, right? It's anecdotal. You might see somebody on the street. Oh, Joe, hey, I saw that. That looked really good. Okay, well, you got to get a little more response than that. And I know that that's hard to do. You're not going to get people to fill out a survey, respond to, some sort of phone call. How are you going to capture response rates? And one of the things that Sustainable Connecticut has been pushing over the last couple of years, I think is really effective, is this notion of partners in the community and having the community involved in the development of your communication plan, because they're going to tell you what they need. They're going to tell you what works and what doesn't work. Again, everybody's a communications expert of their own domain. They're going to tell you what you think they need and what works. In marketing parlance, of course, that was called a focus group. But this is a focus group on steroids. Okay, you're getting immediate response, and the only question is how far out can you go out to capture that engagement, to bring people in. But terribly important. So these are the four: consistency, repetition, cross-media analysis, cross-media integration, and testing. If you don't have all four of these in your communication strategy, you've got a problem. And I'm telling you right now, that's the case. So take a hard look at what your town is doing, or what your sustainability committee is doing, and whatever niche is going on. See if you've got these four things. It's pretty important. And one other, I'm going to throw this one in there as kind of just my editorial comment. The Republicans, God bless them, used to call this unified executive theory, right? All power rests in the executive. I'm kind of a firm believer in having someone not necessarily in charge of communications, but coordinating it, so that they can do that consistency and repetition and cross-media integration as a whole, as a comprehensive whole. So many times I've seen with towns, they're well-intentioned, they have all the pieces and parts, but everybody's off in their own direction. Everybody's doing their own thing. It just works against you, so you're working against yourself in that. So if there's a fifth one I could add, I would just say have somebody in charge of this stuff, because otherwise you're not going to be able to have that coordinated effort. All right, and in this regard, so given these, I would like to use the Old Lyme example. Old Lyme looks great. And the reason I know this, really only because of the last round of certification submissions. All the material came in on the communications action point, 8.2 or something. And that was my review, go figure. And I'm looking through all this material, and some towns have done, some good stuff. Old Lyme did a great job. And the caveat I want to put on this is that I don't know if it's working for them. I don't know what their response rates are, how engaged the community is, those things by which we measure success. I don't have that answer. My assessment is based solely on face value, on the material they sent in and the narrative they provided. Oops, back down. So they have a really good platforms. I would tweak their color choices, but that's me. But they have lots of integrated platforms. They integrate the old and new media very well. They use a lot of repetition in what they're doing. Things are scheduled properly. They have ways of trying to garner information and opinion from the town in how they're doing this. So if you're looking for a place to start, or a place to just get some ideas of things you could do in replication, I think Old Lyme is a good example. So I want to throw that in there just for information's sake. In this venue right now, what I'm hoping to get working on a little bit here is really, are there any standout success stories? Does anybody have something that really worked for them? And we could share it and maybe improve upon it, really replicate it in other towns. At the same time, are there any standout failures? Any nightmares we need to avoid that you've experienced? You know, 150,000 piece mailing sitting in your garage because it has typos or whatever it is, right? There are failures out there. Let us know how to avoid them. And for me, from my perspective, I want to know how we can help, because that's why I'm here. You know, it's why they hired me, frankly. How can I've been at this a long time. I've seen a lot of things. I have a lot of experience in this. And if I can bring some support or some help to you folks in the towns to help with your communication strategies, I'm more than willing to do so. It could be something simple like a press release template. It could be more involved in terms of getting fellows for your town that have a real communication priority. We can do something more involved in terms of online promotion of events, et cetera. But anything at all. And I'm not saying, well, yes, of course, I'll do whatever you want, but we'll certainly talk about it, think about it, try to come up with ways to help you to communicate your stuff. Because in the end, what we're trying to do here is get the towns to communicate better, okay, more fully, more efficiently and effectively, resulting in greater community support. That's the key. That's the end thing we want to get: community buy-in, community support for what we're doing. Because it doesn't do any good at all if we build the pollinator garden and the bike paths and the compost facilities, and nobody and there's no sense of joy in that, no sense of accomplishment on a community-wide basis. So we've got to get this information out, get buy-in, and do it effectively. So I'm going to shut up now, finally, sorry, and let you guys, jump in here and tell us if we have any really good success stories that you've worked with, or any scary parts for that matter.
May I?
Absolutely.
Okay, and if I may, I have one of each.
Okay.
On the side, in my endeavors with sustainable CT, it woke me up to the fact of the blinding flash of the obvious, that we're going to be a more passive energy type country moving forward. And one of the things that I tripped over was that more people are buying EV, electric vehicles, and that homes currently are not built to make it easy. And so based on my work with Sustainable CT, I sent a letter to both the Board of Selectmen and Planning and Zoning to change the zoning regs in town so that any new homes that are being built are EV capable. There's EV capable, there's EV ready, and there's EV installed. But just by making it EV capable, it puts the conduit into the building, and it saves 85% of the cost of retrofitting your home for electric vehicle use. So thank you, Sustainable CT, for waking me up to that concept. And I think we're going to do some good. Also, Pomfret is doing ADUs. We're very close to changing the zoning regs for that. I always call them in-law apartments, but accessory dwelling units, so that it's going to help alleviate some of the housing issue in our community. That brings me to the negative side of things. When I saw that in 2022, the dealing with the unhoused is going to be an aspect of Sustainable CT, I looked at Torrin, who's awesome, by the way, and said, Pomfret does not have an unhoused situation. I immediately apologized. I ate crow, and I realized that being unhoused is not limited to urban areas. It is a town-wide, statewide, region-wide, nationwide problem. What can we do to affect a change? Well, we might not be able to do something specifically in Pomfret, but perhaps regionally we can do something. Carl, whose last name I won't even pretend to pronounce, who's an awesome guy, lives in the next town over. He met with myself and our first selectman at the town hall, and we got a conversation going in Northeast Connecticut. And based on sustainable CT equity training, I learned that speaking your truth is something that is essential. We got together a group of folks from Northeast Connecticut, got a Zoom meeting going, and a lady from Killenly said, you know what, you're forcing me to speak my truth. There is a facility in Missouri called Eden Village, USA. And what they've done out there to help alleviate the unhoused situation is they're building these small communities, 25 to 35, 300 to 400 square foot, single person dwelling in a community, if you will. And they have a community center, they can do their laundry, they can communicate with each other. And these people aren't living off the good graces of the community. These people pay rent, they have jobs perhaps, or they're in some way disabled, but they have income and they have to pay rent. So they are able to maintain their dignity, and you know, they now have a roof over their head. And I was at a meeting, I forget what they yesterday or the day before, for regional funds that will be available through the federal government. And there's no cap on these funds. It's just, if it's a good idea, the government will support it. And I suggested perhaps starting, you know, an Eden Village scenario in Northeast Connecticut. They're doing one in Worcester, Mass, by the way. And I was told that that was a very bad idea because it segregates a certain downtrodden segment of society, and that it would take their dignity away from them. And I'm like, well, if I was unhoused and I had an option to put a roof over my head, and I still felt that I was contributing in some way, shape, or form, I think my dignity might remain intact. I don't know. And this, I'm not calling it a failure, I'm calling it a major challenge. And Rebecca, I know this is something you're working on. And I think we all need help in addressing this issue. In an urban area, you can incorporate them into multifamily housing, or however you deal with the situation, so it's less identifiable, if you will. And you have mass transit to help them get to a potential job or a doctor's visit or whatever. They're different challenges in different areas. And you know, I think it's something we're going to need some help with. And in addition to that, it was pointed out that multifamily dwellings are being purchased by investment groups and being refurbished for mid to high level renters, which is going to create pressure at the low end.
Yep.
So go. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I think that trying to find support and help for messaging on difficult issues is the biggest nut. Is huge. It's a huge thing. It's very easy to make mistakes, and a lot harder to undo them once you've made them, especially in the digital age when everything lasts out there as the lifespan of half-life of uranium. So I hear you, yeah. And housing is a difficult one. I think that in a lot of respects, and we've gone through a lot of equity training and a lot of different trying to work on these issues that have either demographically or geographically, where you can run into some issues too, where now we're talking about race relations and some economic issues that combine, and we're trying to figure out ways to approach this that are safe. And I don't know if we can be. I don't think it's possible to walk through a lot of these issues in a completely safe manner. We have to be able to talk to one another, make mistakes, figure it out together, and improve. So yeah, I hear on housing for sure. Margaret, jump in.
Charlie, it sounds like you've really brought to the fore a marketing issue. How do you market these small communities? I did a little research. There's a community up in Northampton, Massachusetts, and it's kind of like a community housing place, and they have the common areas, they have smaller units, and gosh, I'll see if I can find the name of it and pop it in the chat, but they have a great marketing program in order to, and as Jim was saying, oh, Jim Hunt, there we go. I didn't even notice that. Jim was saying, put a positive spin, put a desirability factor into living like this. Frankly, I looked up there. I went to Smith College and I said, I'd love to live in Northampton as a retiree in a smaller, more affordable and a community environment. Within the living situation, having been in a college dorm and thought that was a blast back when, right? So yeah, I think I took some notes for that. So thank you for that. I'd like to throw out what might be a success, or let me say has been a success so far. One of the things that we did in Sustainable Litchfield was, and I was on the small team that implemented it, we had a thinking about our branding, because that's the word that our chair, John Post, uses. We need to think about our branding. I ran a logo competition. So we put it out to the community to design a logo for Sustainable CT. And what that allowed us to do, first of all, was to put out who we were, what we believed in, because that logo was supposed to, as you say, show our consistency of function, visual, thematic. So we got 7 people from the community who joined this logo selection committee. Then we put out the contest, and we had a bunch of high school art students submitted. We had adults from the community. I think we ended up with a total of 18 altogether. And we modified as we went through. We thought it was going to be, okay, here they are, selection committee looks at them, picks the one they like best. And when I was Zooming with the committee, when we were first looking at all of them, one of the fellows was actually a designer, a graphic designer. And he said, look, I've designed logos. We don't want one that's just okay. We want one that's great. So I don't see any ones here that are great, but I see some possibilities. And so that took the committee on a big, over 3 months. We thought this was going to take 1 week to pick the winner. We're done. No, thank you, Torin. I see that. So after 3 months, they picked a designer, the one that they thought had the best potential. And we went back and forth with the designer. And I'm keeping him anonymous, so I'm the go-between. And it was a really cool experience. And if I have the design somewhere, I can maybe figure out. So is it successful? Well, we've started putting it on our agendas when we put up, but those are in-house agendas, except the agendas are posted on our town website. We're going to put it on our town website. And then Diane and I are in the process of trying to use the logo to put on a thank you item for our equity drafting team. So we're just beginning to figure out how to use this logo. So I think it's going to be a success, but we're in process. Yeah, Diane, anything to add?
There we go. No, I don't have anything to add. I think I'm in the process of finding out if hats or t-shirts are better. And if question for you, Jim, is do we need to do any other communicating to the town about the fact that the logo is being used for this purpose?
Yeah.
And maybe pair it with the other uses of the logo.
Yeah.
Jim, let me jump in super quick. At the beginning, I had an interview on our local radio station, WZBG, about the contest. So that was getting it out there.
That's great.
And then we had great coverage by our local digital news guides, the Litchfield Biz, which just went to subscription. And he did a really nice article once we chose the winner, and he had the logo was in his article. So we sort of slow start.
Excellent. Yes, absolutely. And one of my in my vast experience, one of the things I was working with universities, just very quickly as an analogous to the situation where every school within the university, and this was UMass, it was rather large, so they had all these different schools, and all the schools had their own logo, right? all the schools had their own logo, and finally the university caught wind of this. I like woke up to this. So wait a minute, you know, we're marketing ourselves to a worldwide market in research universities. We don't want to have competing logos. So one of the things you want to do in a situation like that, because it's a great idea, you've brought people in, you've generated excitement, you got them thinking, it's a creative process, you can involve kids, that's always good. You know, that's a great process, but you got to make sure you keep the town involved and informed of what's going on so that you can coordinate a little bit, so that they know how to use within the context of their messaging the logo that you're coming up with. So there's no possibility of competition in terms of, you know, the visual identity of the town, and it might actually be something that helps the town as well. Okay, do their messaging. So everybody's, you know, got to work together here. So yes, bring the town in, get them involved on how this is going to be used and in the dissemination of it. That's all for the better. We don't want to have anybody surprised when it goes out. So that's always good. That's my answer to that. So again, it's one of those things where you hope that somebody in the town has enough, has enough, the 50,000 foot view of the town's communications, right? That all the little pieces and parts have their own interests and are trying to get their own stuff out and their own information out. And they're trying to, you know, they're running around trying to do their stuff. Somebody's got to look at this as a whole. How is this working together as a whole? Are you getting competing messages? Is there message overload from the town, you know, from Pomfret or Litchfield or anywhere, any other town? So that's why one person or a couple of people who have that 50,000 foot level, you know, understanding of what's happening with all these, with all the agencies and the organizations and the different divisions is really very helpful to have.
Jim, can I jump in on that?
Absolutely.
I also happen to have a communications background, more on the content side, but what I found in working with New Milford is there was great pride in its multiplicity of logos, which to me was a nightmare. Every department had a different way of presenting itself. Every department, every commission, every committee had its own logo or ways of presentation. And that ranged from frightening to borderline okay. And so the last thing that we on the Sustainable CT committee wanted to do was yet introduce another kind of, hey, look at me. So what we said is, what do we have in town for which there is already an emotional connection? What logo or logo type or lozenge do we use that people feel good about? And because in some ways we're introducing a whole new thing to connect to, Sustainable Connecticut, what we're not going to do is screw around with what they already have found to be successful and what they, from a state, this is my opinion, what they need to do from a state perspective is start to amplify their own mark so that it has value when you're driving into each one of our towns. I'm a big one on building on what already exists and what already people have some set of expectations about. So what we did in that case throughout our communications is we use both the Sustainable CT mark along with the sort of the favored New Milford mark, and we just use them as lozenges generally on the bottom of different forms of communication. To that, as we look across, I mean, New Milford, and I'm going to sort of assume folks out there are feeling the same thing, our communications landscapes are profoundly fragmented because, you know, each of these towns in many ways represents a collection of grassroots efforts. So everybody's out there scrapping by themselves. I look at this project as for New Milford, one of the first times there's an opportunity to get everyone around the table singing from the same song sheet. So therefore, it was important that we try to be as consistent that We are singing from the Sustainable CT/New Milford song sheet. And here's how your project fits in. So when we talked about our pollinator garden, it had a look and feel, but it was sub-branded from New Milford and Sustainable Connecticut. Our arts projects, the same thing. Our projects in the field cleaning up a stream, even though that project had a look, it was sub-branded. And that was our approach, so that we were going project and town and initiative first, being supported and embraced by the New Milford town. And it was critical that what we were saying every time we had a communication, this isn't Sustainable Connecticut, nor is this Stephen. And that was one of my biggest project challenges. Everyone kept thinking it was my project. And I had to say, no, it is not my project. This belongs to the town. And we are doing this, with the, given the scaffolding provided by Sustainable Connecticut. They've sketched the roadmap. We have to identify the stops along the path. All right, sorry, I get rabbinical. I'm stopping. But the big idea here is
consistency. That whole notion of having consistency of messaging across and the visual consistency integrating across media. That's what I'm talking about.
And the other thing that we did, because of the fragmentation of our communications here that we are rebuilding writ large, is that we would package the communications. Here's the visual, here's the script that you can use, and then send that out to all the other people in the community, saying literally all you have to do is upload this. Right. Because anything else, you're just opening up opportunities to dilute or confuse the message.
Absolutely.
And what that does is it multiplies it. All right, I'm out.
That's all right. Cyril's got his hand up. I didn't see it was yellow on yellow, Cyril. Sorry. So you can see your hand now. What you got? Cyril, can you hear me? Yeah, you got your hand up. I didn't see it before.
No, sorry. I didn't realize you were talking about my yellow here. No, thanks for this. I'll just throw out a quick success, a quick failure, and then a suggestion for ways that you can help us who are just coming up to speed on communications. Right. The success was when we started our new recycling program with new carts back in 2017. I'd slowly built up a Facebook presence in Waterbury for a few years, trying to post a lot of different things about recycling and doing good for the environment, and built up to the point where we had a good number of people following us. And when I finally shared, hey, this is the date when the new carts are going to be arriving, that was seen by 13,000 people in Waterbury, which supposedly is about 10% of the population, which I was very happy about. And because it's something people had a buzz about, they wanted to know, when are the carts coming? I shared it out. The mayor shared it out. Once the mayor shares it out, everybody follows the mayor. So it really reached a lot of people. So they knew, hey, the carts are showing up. They weren't going to be surprised. So that way I was very happy with. The big failure is when I tried to have an Earth Day event a few years back. And I advertised the hell out of it on Facebook and Twitter and did all sorts of things. And I think we had about as many people presenting and setting up booths as we did attending. Yeah. So we had maybe 20 people with booths and tables, and we had maybe 20 people, and some of them kind of rambled through and said, hey, what's going on here? They weren't even responding to the communication. So we have had subsequent successes in Waterbury with Waterbury Harry Potter Day, to which we've had hundreds of people attending. So I guess witches and wizards and wands seem to be more attractive in the Waterbury arena than green car EVs and stuff like that. So the suggestion I have, Jim, is given you outlaid a couple of things that are very important for all of us, is to maybe come up with an Excel spreadsheet. I'm a big fan of one pagers that says, okay, name of event, Earth Day event. And then check boxes all down the line of the 8 weeks leading up to the event of, did you get social media? Did you get Facebook? Did you get Twitter? Did you get the television station? Did you get the radio? Have there been flyers? Have you contacted the local groups? What are the 10 key local groups that you need to put flyers in the hands of? I mean, all those stupid little checklists that probably are in the back of your head already. And we'll jive with this. Yeah. We say, oh yeah, the 10 organizations I should reach in Waterbury are, boom, oh gosh, and I did put Facebook out last week, but I forgot to put Facebook out again this week. And then you can even have that little reminder in the bottom, consistency, make sure that the seal is on there or whatever logo that you want to have to remind all of us to do things that you have probably internalized. So that thing could be mounted on the Sustainable CT webpage, and we could just download it every time we have an event, digital version or a paper version, and make use of that to train ourselves on how to be better communicators.
That's a great idea, Cheryl. Thank you. I don't say I was doing so. Yes, we're trying. I'm actually getting there. We're going to do some. We're doing some town communication packages for just to be able to provide, as you know, the way Steve was speaking too. When you have an event, to pre-package the messaging and then be able to get it out to all your venue. That can be part of this. It's also where the checklist, have you done this? Have you done this? Are they in a specific row of emphasis? You want to be able to do, if you're putting something on Facebook and only on Facebook, to me, that means it's not important. A lot of things go on Facebook, but you've got to have a lot of other platforms concurrently with that, or space or scheduled properly with you know, depending on the event or what it is you're trying to convey. And we're going to put that together at CT, Connecticut CT, Sustainable CT, and then set it out on the website. It's a great suggestion, and I'm going to follow up on it.
May I jump in on that with a comment?
Sure, absolutely.
I'm noticing that because of the pandemic, there's a floodgate that is going to be opening rather quickly, with tons of money flowing in from the federal government to the state, region, and local level. In our little town of Pomfret, we're getting something like $1.2 million, and we have to come up with constructive and approved ways to invest that money. At the regional level, I was at a meeting with NECOG, our local council of governments, and they're getting money from FEMA to do whatever they choose to do, and they're looking at ideas, and there's an application form, and doesn't seem to be a top-end budget for that. And at the state level, Connecticut is going, I'm also on the Department of Tourism. Connecticut's going to be getting $16 million to promote tourism, to kickstart that tourist dollar coming back to Connecticut. And I'm concerned that there isn't, as Cyril was saying, some type of spreadsheet that is going to detail, and maybe this is not a Sustainable CT thing, but there isn't a spreadsheet that is detailing, okay, this amount of federal funding is coming, it's coming to this state, region, town, and here's your timeline, and here's some parameters for what you may or may not be able to use that money for. And I use the housing thing. There's money that was supposed to go to people who, you know, with the rent moratorium, and at the state and federal level. At the federal level, to date, only 11% of those funds have been applied for. At the state level, just under 50% of those funds have been applied for. Now, it's critical to note that at the state level, if we don't disperse 65% of the federal funds that are coming to us, we lose the difference. So, and we have till September 30th to apply for that money. When I say we, I mean the renters who have been distressed and needed rent stabilization.
Yeah.
And I think it's incumbent upon both the renters and the landlords to be making sure that people know that this money is available. And if they don't apply for it in the next 13 days, they're going to lose it. And they're going to lose the differential. And it's millions of dollars just in Connecticut, and it's billions of dollars at the federal level. And I don't think that's being, I don't think there's an education process, and I don't think there's a communication process. And those are two key things that I think are lacking to help these people get through this and to take advantage of federal fundings that will be flowing down.
We are working, I want to let you all know that we are working with the American Rescue Plan money packaging coming in. We are going to be, we're putting out in the process of trying to pull together, how do we put this? It's suggested uses for the money, really is what it comes down to. Things that fit into both Sustainable CT's action elements, but also just advisory on the nature of this money, where it's, you know, how it can be used, how it can't be used. Some advisories surrounding the ARP money, very important, and we're working on that now. The rent issue is a great. That's yes. I almost feel as if mea culpa. I almost feel as if we fell down on this, because as much national attention, and it has been a national story, that it is that the rent money fiasco. It's been a fiasco. People have not been able to access the money. They didn't even know it existed. They're not getting landlords involved. They're not getting people, the left hand isn't talking to the right hand. I mean, this has been going on now for months. And yet we, for our part at Sustainable Connecticut, haven't done anything about it. I think it's a lesson learned, and it's a very painful lesson, because it's almost, as you point, it's almost too late now. If we don't get on top of this very quickly, you're going to lose a lot of you're going to lose the resource in certain respects. It's going to be much more difficult down the line. So that's something I want to take away from this too. Trying to do this stuff in a timely manner to support towns and what they're doing is really important. So thank you. Yes. Anybody else want to jump in? Yeah, Stephanie.
Hi, I guess we don't have a lot of time for me to go into too much detail, but there's quite a lot of information that was provided. Jim, it sounds like you don't hear me very well. Are you the
I
only-
know, but that's okay. It's okay. I can hear you. I just have to lean in a little bit. That's okay.
See if I can, I don't know.
Don't do that for me. Go ahead. Do it.
Okay,
I
so.
hear you fine, Stephanie.
Yeah, well, you hear you fine.
Okay, all right. So actually, this is really timely for me, because the town just approved for us to put out a survey to the public, the general public. I'd like to put together a brand new farmers market for next year. And so the timing, that's why I was trying to get the survey ready, so that in the month of October, give people time to do the survey and then create the farmers market in the vision of what the people in town would like to see. Also, it's a way for us to get vendors or potential vendors to think about this. So I've been listening to things that everybody's been saying, and I picked up a lot of extra ideas, because I had my sort of list of outlets, but just trying to make it even more comprehensive. One particular question, I think Stephen was one person who might be able to answer this one. If we were to create a logo for the market itself, I'm thinking about, could we take the town seal and then put Bloomfield Farmers Market within the seal? Or what if I wanted to do a logo with, for example, a little farm stand? Could I know that when you're using logos and stuff off the internet, you have to make sure they aren't copyrighted. If they are, you're sort of giving credit to those logos. How does it work if you want to use something at the town level where you're creating a logo? Do we have to have one designed? And then it means paying, the only way I get anything done in town is if it costs zero money. So that's just one of the questions I have. So Stephen, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of what's referred to in the biz as extensible logos, meaning there is one frame or one sort of graphic idea that then can be reinterpreted across various domains. So my recommendation is that's a place to start, and that's often a gentle way of helping the municipality think about a larger message in a way in which all of their efforts start to amplify and support all of the various other efforts. So if in fact you can find a graphic artist or a graphic arts student, I mean, maybe following the Litchfield model of reaching out and inviting people into the conversation, that would be a way that I would start. I would try to avoid pulling something off the internet, because out of the gate, you've already, I'm being gentle here. Because by doing that, you've already diluted your message. You said, I am coming from the world of free and generic and lowest rent we can possibly attain. And you don't want that as part of your message.
I just don't want too much detail about it, because there's so many things to get through here. So the thing is, though, what about using some logo that we already have in town and just make it a variation on the existing logo?
Yes, that's the point about creating an extensible logo. You start with something, and you customize it to your specific initiative.
Okay. And
just Stephanie, just make sure the town is involved in that process
Yes.
a little bit, because they don't want to be surprised by a use of the town seal or logo. Whatever you
no,
call it.
obviously, I work for the town. I mean, I don't
No,
make.
all right, okay.
No,
No, Stephanie, so you're in the perfect
every
position.
decision made is beyond me. It's I propose. I don't make any decisions. And then, so if I could just say, I've the list of places I've got electronic messaging boards, actual physical posters in our municipal buildings, hopefully schools, email listservs. So, for example, library and leisure services, faith groups, social groups in towns, the town website itself, maybe commissions. Please tell me if there are any gaps. That's where I'm listing this stuff. The Bloomfield Messenger is a newspaper, social media, and then we've got retirement communities that have their own sort of group email blast. The logo went, and then radio. I'm not sure if we have any local radio. Am I missing anything? Anybody want to add? Because we just want to get this right. We hopefully will have a success story to share here with the community.
Off the top of my head, without knowing your market very well, I don't. It sounds like you've got a laundry list. It's good.
Have we hit all four of the?
You know, again, just coming from basics that will apply to your neck of the woods as well as any others. Just make sure your messaging is consistent across all those platforms, and you're doing it in a contemporaneous manner. You know, that's the best thing you can do. If there's something specific to your region, if there's a theater group or a cultural organization or there's something that has critical mass within your region, get them involved as a partner. And I don't know who that would be, but if there is anybody, you know better than I do. And that includes businesses. Is there a local grocery store that's usually a pretty big weighty thing in town? Get them involved. Ask them for money. You know, all they can say is no. Anything that has a critical mass within your region, you can use as a resource. And whether that's for distribution of messaging or for actually asking for donation or contribution of time and labor, whatever it is, find the critical mass points in your town and go there. That's Mike. Stephen, you got any?
Yeah. The other thing, even especially in a small town, sometimes it's the entity, but more often it's the individual. So that for all of those people on all of those places, those orgs on your list, I would think about who are the 10 top movers and shakers in town, and get them to be pushing your message individually via email, through their own Facebook posts, because even like in fundraising, if it comes from the individual, there's generally more traction than if it comes from the org. It's the way we fill tables. So get your power brokers in town to be part of your communication team.
Right. That's right.
Especially in small places.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all so much. We got to wrap it up, and I really enjoyed this very much. It's good seeing you again, and hope to do it again soon. And please stay in touch with me, and if I can help, or if you need some advice or critical, I'm always good for an extra pair of eyes to look over any kind of material you might be sending out. Happy to do it. So thank you all. Thanks for
coming. See y'all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.